We're going to go over stamping today, and specifically stamping quality issues. We're a small little department here at Washington. A lot of times we're unnoticed, which is the way we kind of like it. But so we just want to kind of give you guys an idea about quality issues today, and some of the different quality issues you might see on stamping parts when you're assembling them or painting them or welding them, such forth. All right? Next. Okay, quality starts at the end of the catcher's table up on a press line. And this is where the quality catchers catch the part. And when they catch a part, they reference what we call the critical point diagram right here. And this just basically gives them a general idea of what they're looking for every part. So this is actually one of the cross members we run for chassis. And so they're going to look at about 5 things. They're going to look at total hole count. Holes are very important on parts, so they're going to add them up. They're going to look for no necking or splits, no missing material. They'll make sure the form is correct, and then no burrs. Okay? And they do this by using the master hole panel check process. So the first step of that is they bring the check pressure to the check area when they start a new job. They place the first panel on the fixture, they insert the alignment pins. Just make sure everything's where it needs to be. They then check the panels for form, missing material, and short trim. They also visually check the part for any defects. Sometimes you're going to see something you've never seen before, so besides just focusing on the critical points, we tell them, man, always give the part a good one-over. There's going to be one of those days you see something that we've never seen before. They then place the panel on the light table with the master hole panel, and they number all the holes on the part as they appear on the master hole panel. This is very critical. Every hole in the stamping part is there for a reason. And if you're missing a hole, that can be a very critical quality defect. Sometimes we think, it's one little hole. Well, that little hole could be an alignment hole for a jig somewhere. If it's not there, it's not going to get jigged up. It could be a stud that goes in there, or a bolt that gets welded on top of it. So every hole, no matter how big, how small, is very critical. Next. Okay, missing material. Missing material is a very serious quality defect for a stamping part. This defect affects the strength of the part, as well as how it attaches to the other parts in the completed part. So up here you see we have 2 different pictures of missing material. The first one there is kind of short trim on an edge on a body part, and then the second one is actually short trim on a flange. Man, missing material is very critical. It can happen a couple different ways. It can be a blank that's not quite to spec, the missing material on a blank, or it can be the part was not in the right position when it was formed in the press. Either way, if you put this on a completed part, the completed part is no good. Okay, the next is split. Man, if you have one bad word in stamping, it's split. And if anybody's worked here at Washington, you've heard us talk about splits before. They can really be a pain in the butt, let's put it that way. Splitting is a very serious quality defect for a stamping part. This defect affects the strength of the part. If assembled into the completed part, the split can grow over time, result in structural failure of the part. You can see we have a little split here on that little round radius there. That's actually a floor. And then we have a little split there on a 645, 64P 6000. Splits occur when the material is not allowed to form, when it bends and stuff in a die, and it basically tears itself apart and cracks. It's one of the worst quality issues we have because it really affects the quality of the part. If a split makes it all the way to HMA and nobody catches it, and it gets assembled in a car, over time the structural wear on that part can cause that to open up and create a larger quality issue than the one you have at this point. Next. Necking. Necking is the predecessor of a split. This is where you have a little difference in the thickness of the material. If not caught, necking can turn into a split over time. The real problem with necking is if a weld is laid over necking, the necking can split open. So when you look at a part, and you see this little bit of a necking, they're like, man, it's solid, it's going to be good. Chances are it could be, but like if you put a spot weld right over a neck, it can open up. If you're welding a trim line that has a neck and you hit it with a CO2 welder, it can split up. Then you're looking at a lot larger quality defect, which is really affecting the part. Flaking. Flaking is something we don't see a lot, but it is a very serious quality defect for a stamping part. This defect affects the outer layer of the material. If not caught, flaking can result in poor weld condition and also poor painting condition. This is just a chemical imbalance in the outer layer of the material. It's usually pretty easy to catch because it's a large visual issue, but again, sometimes we miss it. So, man, if you're ever looking at a part and you see something that looks like all rusty, or actually like the material surface is flaking off, man, let us know. That is not a good part. Next. And then burring. Burring is also a very serious quality defect. A burr is formed when a cutter or a punch gets worn out. A trim edge burr can cause a part to be offset when attached to another part. A hole burr can interfere with tooling pins and nuts that are welded over the hole. Man, we stamp a lot of parts. We put a lot of holes in them. These punches get worn out, they create little burrs. A lot of times you look at a little burr and like, man, this little burr, it's going to be okay. Well, some of the tolerances on these holes are really, really tight. And like I said, a lot of these holes are used for tooling pins. And if they're used for a tooling pin and that burr's enough that it's either making it too tight or offsetting the part on the tooling pole, all of a sudden this one tiny burr becomes a larger problem when the parts are being assembled farther down the line. So always look out for burring. Here we have an example of burring on an actual hole on a part. There up in the other corner, we got burring along the trim edge. And then that's a picture actually of a jig where it's not pushing down all the way on the tooling end because of the burr. So even something as small as a burr can be a very serious quality defect. Next. All right. Well, in summary, the way we look at it is quality starts with stamping. Stamping parts are the first building blocks in all completed components. If the stamp part is defective, then the completed part is defective. Every hole, every trim line, every curve has a purpose. All aspects of a part are there for a reason. And we tell our catchers and our operators this, man, if you're looking at a part and something just doesn't look right, odds are it's not. I mean, you've seen this part over and over again. Man, if there's something in the back of your head saying, that don't get right, man, stop, come get somebody, we'll look at it. It might be something that's not critical. If it's not critical, we're gonna say, hey, we're gonna get a brand, we'll address this later. If it's critical, we're gonna stop it, we're gonna figure out what the root cause is, and we're gonna fix it, isolate it, and then do a walk back to see if we've missed anything up to that point in time. Stamping parts come in all shapes and sizes, but every part is equally important. A defect in the smallest part is as serious as a defect in a large part. Man, we have some parts that fit in the palm of your hand. We have some parts that are almost as big as this table. They're all equally important. Size does not really matter when it comes to all these components that are put into a assembled part. And the smallest defect in the smallest part can result in the whole part having to be scrapped. What we tell our catchers and we tell our operators when they're running these lines is, man, you look at this little part, you're catching 3,000 to 4,000 of them a day, right? How important can this be? Well, if that one little part has a defect, and it's a structural defect, and it's the critical part of the car, like if an HMA gets missed, that whole car can be scrapped. So rather than this one little part being worth 99 cents, which is how much it is if I scrap it right at the end of the line, I think if we scrap a whole body, it's $35,000, $4,000 or something like that. Man, that one little part becomes very, very expensive. So the mindset we like to adopt is every single part we catch out of that press, we're not just catching a part, we're looking at a whole car, or possibly a whole car. So we need to treat them all with that idea in mind. So in conclusion, if you notice a defect in a stamp part anywhere in your production procedure, man, please let your team leader know, let your supervisor know, man, they're gonna Keiko us, they're gonna come get us, we're gonna come look at it. And like I said before, it might be something that's not that critical. We're gonna say, man, great, if it is, we're gonna stop, we'll isolate it, we'll walk back, we'll figure out the root cause, and we'll get it coming. Because you guys put our parts together to make your parts, and if our parts are bad, your parts are bad. I mean, we don't want any of these bad parts going to the customer. All right? Any questions? Thank you.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Hey, I just want to remind everyone, I hope everybody had a good weekend, first of all. I just want to remind everybody about safety and quality this week. It's very, very important because what's going on around us. We got Black Friday ahead of us, right? Everybody starts losing their minds, you know what? And next thing you know, we have a big quality accident or a big safety accident. So it's very, very important over the next couple of days, over the next couple of weeks, because this is kind of like our playoff, right? Because we got to make it to the end of the year with great quality and great safety. So make sure that we're actually paying attention around us, because also now, this time of year, we have some contractors coming in. They're going through safety training classes and stuff like this, but we don't know them. So we have to pay close attention to them. So make sure you pay attention to the people around you, and let's finish out this year strong, okay? Thank you.
All right, good morning. Hope everybody had a good weekend, and I know what everybody's thinking. We're all thinking about Thanksgiving. But one of the things I do want you to think about is Thanksgiving and gratitude. Be grateful for what we do have. And so we do have a lot, and so be grateful for what we do have. So this week, my thoughts of the day are going to be kind of towards the theme of Thanksgiving. Not what we say about our blessings, but how we use them is the measure of our thanksgiving. So again, let's think about gratitude. Let's be grateful for what we do have. Today, our 7 Habits class will be today at 2:30. Habit number 2, begin with the end in mind. So if you're attending the 7 Habits class, I look forward to seeing you at 2:30 today. Anything else from the team today? Anybody got anything? Russ said, be safe. Let's stay focused, and let's make it to Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday we'll have a little time off. So let's stay focused. All right, anybody got anything? All right, as always, have your best day ever. Thanks.